That's why when I take my pills, I take Ritalin, and that helps me focus on that, and that's more better with me.
I could tell the difference when I take my Ritalin. Some days I'll go to school, I won't take it. I won't be able to concentrate on my works. Somebody will start talking, two people have a conversation in back of me. I'll start paying attention to their conversation and not do my work. Sit there, I'll start playing on my pen or thumping my foot or doing something. But when I do take it, it's like I could block everything out and I could concentrate.
But Ritalin has other effects.
Sometimes when I sit still for a long time, my head just like starts going like that and I feel dizzy. So I feel dizzy, sometimes I feel kind of weird in my stomach. It has lots of side effects for me.
I can't sleep. I mean, I barely get like 5 hours of sleep a night.
It always makes me all, like, I don't know how to say it, like anger, like, and like I just want to like be alone and stuff.
It makes me lose my appetite. I like don't even want to eat.
And everything everyone else says is true. Like, I think they should they should research that pill and like make it better, you know?
Welcome back. Now this issue of Ritalin and medication is a particularly important one. It is one of the concerns that parents usually do bring when they first get this diagnosis, this fear about the medication. And I'm wondering, Kathy, from both a personal and professional experience, what has been your experience of parents' feelings about the medication?
Again, it runs the gambit to yes, 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 please, let's do something because I can't do anything with my child, to, oh, but I'm so afraid because they haven't maybe done a lot of studies and they don't know whether my child will be addicted to drugs later on. I know I have chosen to not put my child who has special needs on medication. He is in a wonderful school where they can give him a lot of attention that he needs. In a class where there's 30 other students, sometimes these children don't have a choice but to go on medication. But again, it's not a panacea. There's, as you can see, so many side effects to medication, and for some children it has changed their lives and they can now work well in school.
Okay. Was that an issue that came up after Bradley had been diagnosed?
Yes, he was on Ritalin for a while,
Okay.
and we chose to take him off it after about a year. He hasn't been on medication for quite some time now. There are other ways, and of course they are more exhaustive, but we found it to be worth it.
Okay.
Because when it started affecting his appetite, his sleep, we thought we have to try something else. This is not healthful.
All right, now so out of that comes your list. I know that you have some ideas on techniques we can do as parents to assist our children. Let's take a look at this list. Restructuring time, foreshadowing, transitions, give information, make commands positive, avoid no and don't, give limited choices, grandma's rule when, then, speak at the child's eye level, and question versus commands. And we'll come back to that list again, so you were not supposed to memorize it the first round, okay? I, in fact, have a cheat sheet, so that should help us. In terms of restructuring time, what does that mean?
I can give you a quickie example. I used to make my son's lunch in the morning while he was eating breakfast. And when he saw me making lunch, he wanted what was being made at lunchtime right now. And what I had to tell him over and over again is, no, this is for lunch. Well, he had no concept of lunch. He just knew impulsively that he wanted it now. So what I did to restructure my time was I started making his lunch at nighttime after he went to bed. And so in the morning, all I had to do was say, here's your lunch. We had no problems.
Okay, so a simple tool like that, okay? How about foreshadowing? What is that?
That's letting a child know ahead of time what's going to happen. So for example, if you're going to go to grandma's house at 4 o'clock, and usually you don't go to grandma's house at 4 o'clock, letting a child know maybe an hour in advance that today we're going to go to grandma's house. And so letting them know what's going to happen next, because these children need a lot of structure.
Yeah, it sounds like transitions might be particularly difficult. Has that been your experience?
Transitions, if you tell a child what's going to happen in 10 minutes or 20 minutes or even after this program we're going to bed, they start to think, okay, after this show I'm going to bed. It's not like turning off the TV and saying, okay, bedtime. It gives them a chance to kind of adjust to the idea of going to bed. So transitions definitely work.
Okay. So, and you find that they're necessary. You've probably tried the turning off the TV and saying we're going to bed now.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And you get the ohs.
Oh,
you know.
okay, and it
But
doesn't work.
now, with the transitions, if you say after the show, it's time to go to bed, I'm actually surprised to find him turning the television off and walking to his bedroom.
Oh, what a lovely thing. Okay. How about this idea of saying it with a word? What does this
What's
mean?
true with most of all children is that they process slowly, and our children just happen to process more slowly. And so giving them a whole paragraph to understand, they get lost. And so just use as fewer words as possible. It's time for bed, or it's time to do your homework, versus a whole paragraph around that.
Okay.
They can understand it when it's short and sweet.
Okay, one of the things I've heard said is that with the processing of information, that because there's that lag time, that if you say something and then you move on to the next, they're still processing that first sentence. And so if they're responding to the second thing you've said, they'll respond with the answer to the first thing you said, because it's like there's that half a beat behind.
If they can even remember what you said.
Right.
Because sometimes they have so much in their mind, they might have completely forgotten what you said.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot of noise in there for them.
Very much so.
Okay,
yeah.
you're just one more competing stimulus for them.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I guess I was just thinking how important it is for us as parents to learn as much as we possibly can about what their world is like. Because when we can get into their space and really understand what's going on for them, it makes our job so much easier. Yeah.
Has that been your experience?
Absolutely. Putting yourself in your child's shoes just for a moment is an incredibly enlightening experience. I've had moments where I've been, say, working on something, wearing gloves, and someone calls or something, and I'm trying to write, and I'm thinking, gosh, this is how Bradley must feel trying to write.
Okay.
And it's a revelation that you try as hard as you can, and still you can't get it right.
Yeah, that must be so frustrating. And you can see where there'd be that effect on self-esteem, where they maybe stop trying, particularly if there hasn't been a diagnosis or we don't really know what it is. I can see the temptation for children to just sort of check out and sort of just get through school laying low and hoping nobody notices.
And you know, with the proper encouragement and praise, it amazes me how children do persist, how they persevere and they don't quit, they don't give up.
Yeah, what's true is that we as parents tend to run out of ideas of what to do, and so quite often then the yelling comes and the hitting and the punishing, and that doesn't work with these children. What we have to keep doing is finding the positive, and focus on that versus the negative. Okay. So I always invite my parents to in one day praise them or find something they love about their child 25 times a day and tell their child that.
How about that?
Minimum 25 times.
Minimum, okay. I'm sure that must feel wonderful for the child. I mean, I know I've done experiences as an adult where we'll be sitting in a group and we'll have this group exercise where we're supposed to go around and say something positive to every person in the group, and you know, receiving 25 positive affirmations.
And it trains us too as parents to look at the positive, because it's so easy for us to pick out all the negative things our child is doing. And I've had parents say, 25, I can't think of one thing in a day that my child does that's positive, and that just breaks my heart.
Okay.
Because there's so many if we just open our eyes to see.
Yeah, well, then I'm sure that has to do too with our fatigue level as parents, and the fact that there are so many demands on us just in our lives separate from the children. So then having that on top must at times be quite difficult. Now, how about this idea of describing? What is that? Where you say, instead of blaming, describing.
Quite often, all we need to do is say, the light's left on, and then our children know what to do.
Okay.
We describe the situation, the milk is left out on the table, and they know what to do. But quite often, what we'll do, because we've asked them 50 times, and we don't want to have to say, when milk is left out on the table, it spoils. But so often, they need to know what else. You know, why? So what if the milk is left out? Big deal. But if we describe and we give information, then they're more apt to do it. Like, close the door, please, I don't want flies to get in, versus just close the door.
Well, it strikes me that that would be true of anybody.
You bet.
I mean, I don't think any of us enjoy being told what to do or in that sort of command.
And it takes longer, though, for our children. We have to do it maybe 100 times, and maybe the 101st time they'll get it, where with children who don't have special needs, we might just have to say it 10 or 20.
Okay. Kind of gives us a perspective.
Yeah.
How about making commands positive? You said instead of saying don't shout, for example.
Right, right. Because it's so easy for us to say don't do this and don't do that, and then our child doesn't know what to do. So if we say don't yell, they'll go, well, what else can I do? So we might say, shh, use a soft voice.
Or even close the refrigerator door rather than don't leave the refrigerator door open.
Oh, okay. So sort of giving a direction, maybe. Let's take another look at our list again, because I bet we haven't memorized it. Okay, at this point, we have made our commands positive. Now we're going to look at avoiding no and don't, giving limited choices, grandma's rule, when, then, speaking at the child's eye level, and question versus commands. Okay, so in terms of avoiding no and don't.
What's so easy again for us to do is just immediately, no, don't. And again, it kind of goes along with giving commands in a positive way, because now the child's stuck with, now what do I do, instead of no or don't.
True. I mean, doesn't that have to do with giving them another option?
Yeah.
Just saying no, okay, now what do they do with that energy, and then finding a way to redirect them.
Yes.
Yeah. How about speaking of that, giving limited choices? What does that mean?
Ultimately, I feel that my role is to prepare Bradley for adulthood, being out on his own. And you have to start giving children choices. And limited choices is a good way to start. Do you feel like wearing shorts today or long pants? Would you like cereal this morning or scrambled eggs? And giving them more and more choices to the point where they can problem solve and start to make decisions for themselves.
Okay.
It's so empowering for them to have the question asked to them. It's like, oh, what I say matters. Or, gee, I do have a choice here. And we say limited choices because if we say, what do you want to wear today, they might choose something that is not okay to wear. Like if it's in the middle of winter and they want to wear shorts. And then that leaves us open to having a problem. But if we say, do you want to wear your black pants or your brown pants, then they have that limited choice between those two.
And they get to participate.
Exactly.
Before we close, I want to make sure and talk about Grandma's rule. Tell us what that is.
It's a real, we wonder why it was named Grandma's Rule. I don't really know, other than grandmas are kind of easygoing and they always assume the best. And so when we say, when your homework is done, then you get to watch TV, you're implying that you trust they'll get their homework done. If you say, if you do your homework, that leaves it open to, well, gee, maybe I won't.
Okay.
So we just assume that they will do it, and then they'll get to do something fun.
I want to thank you both for coming today and sharing your personal and professional experience with us. I know that you do offer the classes again. They start January 3rd. 30th, okay, and your phone number is on the screen. Thank you for joining us tonight. Please be with us next week as we take a close look at men at midlife. Don't miss it. I'm Mary Crocker Cook. Good night.